Angel Reese is back on the court, and she's not just bringing rebounds and energy, she's bringing a message. After sitting out the end of the WNBA season with a back injury, Reese has returned with unrivaled Rose BC, and the way she chose to come back says a lot about who she's becoming as a professional athlete. It wasn't just about lacing up again, it was about team unity, mental health, and what it really means to handle non-stop criticism in today's sports world. If you followed Angel Reese from LSU to the Chicago Sky and now into the Unrivaled League, you know she's been under a microscope for years. Every move she makes, from a simple rebound to a post-game celebration, seems to spark debate, especially on social media. Some people love her fire, others are waiting for any excuse to tear her down. But instead of letting that pressure break her, she has consistently found ways to flip it, grow from it, and even turn it into opportunities for other people. Her latest chapter started after that back injury forced her to the sidelines at the end of the WNBA season. For a rookie who had already drawn so much attention for her physical style of play, her double-doubles, her confidence, being shut down physically could have easily taken a toll mentally. When you're used to being in the spotlight and suddenly you can't contribute on the court, it can feel like the world moves on without you. For many athletes, that's when doubt creeps in. So when Angel Reese finally stepped back on the floor with Rose BC in the Unrivaled League, there was a lot of anticipation. Fans wanted to see if she still had that same motor. Teammates wanted their emotional leader back, and critics, as always, were watching for any sign of weakness. Instead, what people got was a reminder that Angel Reese isn't just focused on stat lines, she's paying attention to what's going on inside people's heads, too. During practice with Rose BC, she took a moment not just to talk about basketball, but about life. She acknowledged just how chaotic everything feels right now, not only in sports, but in the world in general. She pointed out that athletes deal with real mental health challenges, and she made it clear she was grateful simply to be there with her teammates, together, sharing another day on the court. Her message was simple but powerful. Don't take these moments for granted and recognize how important your mental well-being is, not just your physical condition. That might sound basic, but in professional sports, it's still not something everyone is comfortable saying out loud. Players are expected to be tough, competitive, and unbothered, but the reality is very different. Between constant travel, media pressure, social media hate, and the fear of losing your place in the league, athletes are under non-stop strain. Reese choosing to center that conversation with her team shows the kind of voice she wants to be in the game. Not just a trash-talking competitor, but someone who cares about what her teammates are carrying off the court. And Angel Reese knows that mental strain all too well. From her breakout years at LSU and that unforgettable 2023 NCAA championship run, she's been labeled everything from iconic to classless, depending on who you ask. Her celebrations went viral. Her rivalry moments were dissected on every show. People who had never watched women's college basketball suddenly had loud opinions about her personality. She became a symbol in the culture war around women's sports, whether she wanted that or not. Then came the me-bounds moment. If you've watched her play, you know rebounding is her thing. She crashes the offensive glass, chases down her own misses, creates second and third chances. It's part of what makes her such a problem to defend. But instead of appreciating the hustle, some people turned it into a meme, calling it me-bounds and using it to clown her online. Clips of her grabbing her missed shots were edited, joked about, and spread across social platforms, especially X and TikTok. A lot of athletes would have been frustrated or embarrassed. They might have lashed out or tried to ignore it. Angel Reese went a different direction. She leaned into it, literally. Instead of me-bounds stay a joke at her expense, she decided to own it literally. She moved to trademark the term me-bounds and transformed it from an insult into a brand. Now, when people hear it, they're not just thinking of a meme, they're thinking of her business moves. From there, she launched a full me-bounds merchandise line, turning internet trolling into something tangible and positive. The collection includes t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, and slides, offered in youth and adult sizes. Prices range from around $28 on the low end to about $75 on the higher end, which puts it right in that sweet spot of fan apparel.
What once was used to mock her hustle is now a slogan her supporters proudly wear on their chest and caps. But the smartest part of the whole thing is that she didn't stop at building her own brand. The money from the MeBounce line isn't just going into her pocket. A portion of the proceeds goes to the Angel C. Reese Foundation, which focuses on issues that hit very close to home for her: cyberbullying and making the internet a safer space for young people. She's not only reacting to the hate she's received, she's trying to shield the next generation from going through the same thing at the same level. Think about the full circle there. Angel Reese gets mocked online, a phrase meant to make fun of her becomes a meme, she reclaims it, trademarks it, sells it, and then uses it to fund a foundation that helps kids dealing with the exact kind of harassment she has had to endure. That's not just personal resilience, that's turning criticism into community support. It's a blueprint for how athletes can protect their mental health and use their platforms to build something bigger than themselves. And that takes us back to the mental health conversation she had with her Rose BC teammates. When she talks about athletes dealing with pressure, it's not some abstract concept, she has lived it. Beyond the on-court expectations, there's everything happening behind the scenes: contract worries, the uncertainty of pro leagues, smaller salaries in the WNBA compared to other sports, and questions about how long a career can really last. All of that weighs on players, especially young ones who are still figuring out who they are outside of basketball. For Angel Reese to return from a physical injury and immediately choose to emphasize mental wellness and gratitude says a lot about where her head is. She wasn't only focused on her own comeback or her own stats, she was focused on the group, on creating a space where her teammates could feel seen as people, not just as athletes. That kind of leadership is huge, especially in a new league like Unrivaled, where players are trying to build something fresh from the ground up. Unrivaled itself is part of this bigger shift in women's basketball. It's a player-led league designed to give women more control over their careers, more visibility, and more chances to compete in a way that highlights their talent. For Angel Reese to step into that environment with Rose BC and immediately be vocal about togetherness and mental health fits perfectly with the direction the women's game is heading: more honest, more empowered, and less interested in being quiet or grateful just to be there. And it's worth pointing out how different this is from the way she's sometimes portrayed. Critics love to paint Angel as selfish, dramatic, or only in it for the spotlight. But if you actually follow what she's doing, you see someone who keeps pouring back into her teammates, her fans, and her community. You see someone who's using her visibility not just to grow her personal brand, but to start conversations about emotional well-being, bullying, and the reality of being a young black woman in a sport that still doesn't always know how to handle confident female athletes.
That's why her message resonates. She's not pretending everything is fine. She's not acting like the constant hate comments, memes, and think pieces don't get heavy. Instead, she's saying, yes, this is hard. The world is loud, the expectations are intense, and sometimes just showing up with your teammates is something to be grateful for. That honesty makes her stand out even more in an era where athletes are expected to be polished and unbothered 24/7. For younger fans, especially girls who watch Angel Reese and see someone who looks like them or talks like them, that matters. They see that you can be emotional, competitive, loud, stylish, business-minded, and still care deeply about mental health and community. You don't have to choose between being tough and being vulnerable. You can acknowledge your struggles and still be dominant on the boards, still build your own clothing line, still start a foundation, still take back a meme that was meant to tear you down. From LSU's bright lights to the WNBA grind with the Chicago Sky, and now to Unrivaled's Rose BC, Angel Reese has been consistent in one thing. She refuses to be defined solely by what other people say. She hears the criticism, she sees the jokes, and instead of running from them, she redirects them. The MeBounce merch, the foundation work, the talk about cyberbullying, the practice speeches about mental health, they all come from the same mindset. If you can't control what people throw at you, control how you answer. And that's exactly what we're seeing in this new phase of her career. Returning from injury is already a mental and physical battle on its own.
Doing it while still being one of the most talked about names in women's basketball adds another layer. But Angel Reese is using her return as a reminder that the game is only one part of her impact. She's redefining what it looks like to be a professional athlete in the modern era, one who understands branding, advocacy, and the importance of mental health just as much as X's and O's. So as she suits up for Rose BC and continues to build her presence in the unrivaled league, it's clear we're looking at more than just a rebound machine. We're watching someone turn internet jokes into scholarships, memes into merchandise with a purpose, and criticism into conversations that need to be had in locker rooms everywhere. She's setting an example of how to be tough in the paint and still soft enough to say, "Hey, how are you really doing today?" In a sports world that can feel cold, unforgiving, and obsessed with perfection, that kind of balance is rare. Angel Reese is showing that you can embrace the chaos, acknowledge the pain, and still come back to your team with gratitude, pride, and a commitment to lifting others up. Her journey from viral moments and memes to mental health advocate and foundation founder is exactly why so many people stay locked in on everything she does, whether they love her or love to hate her. And as long as she keeps turning that noise into something positive for her teammates, for young fans, and for anyone struggling with online hate, she's going to keep redefining what it means to be a star in the WNBA and beyond.